We're going to go through these bills, and then we're going to go through the roll once. So absent members should get here so that they can vote on the 9 or so bills we have on call. Presenting these bills on behalf of Senator De Leon is the illustrious Kip Lipper. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
Senator De Leon sends his apologies. He's tied up in the Senate Rules Committee, and he's grateful for the committee's indulgence to allow staff to present. Mr. Chairman, do you have a preference in terms of order?
Whichever one is easiest.
Well, I'd like to get SB 1393, which is a technical cleanup bill to the much discussed SB 350 last year.
Second.
Terrific. Bill's been moved and seconded. Is there anybody who wishes to speak in support or opposition? Let's do support first.
Eddie Moreno on behalf of Sierra Club California in support.
Larissa Cespedes on behalf of Southern California Edison. We appreciate the committee staff help with the amendments in support.
Terrific. Anybody in opposition who wishes to be heard? This is 1393. All right. Members of the committee. All right. Bill's been properly moved and seconded. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass and re-refer to the Appropriations Committee. Gatto?
Aye.
Gatto, aye. Patterson?
No.
Patterson, no. Burke? Chavez?
No.
Chavez, no. Daly?
No.
Daly, no. Eggman? Christina Garcia?
Aye.
Christina Garcia, aye. Eduardo Garcia?
Aye.
Eduardo Garcia, aye. Hadley? Roger Hernandez? Obernolte?
No.
Obernolte, no. Quirk?
Aye.
Quirk, aye. Santiago? Ting?
Aye.
Ting, aye. Williams? Santiago?
1393. Thank you.
Santiago, aye.
Okay. That bill's placed. We're going to place that on call. We'll lift the call later.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So first we have, last we have Senate Bill 1453. I want to be clear here what's going on so that members of the committee understand what's going on. So the Pro Tem has asked that we do not make the committee amendments today. The amendments were included in the analysis initially, but it sounds like there's some additional time that's necessary. So when we entertain motions on this bill, it will be due pass on the February 19th, 2016 version of the bill. I just want that to be clear for everybody. So this is not a due pass as amended, and this is at the request of all the parties so that we come together and work something out. Okay, floor is yours on 1453.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for the indulgence, yours and the committees. We have been. This is a bill that closes a loophole on what's called the Greenhouse Gas Emissions Performance Standard to ensure that all utilities in the state abide by the requirements that our major utilities already are living with to reduce their investments in coal power outside of the state. This is a law that's been on the books for 10 years. It's had this provision in it that exempted one utility, PacifiCorp, and this closes the loophole. In the discussions with PacifiCorp, and I might say, members and Mr. Chairman, PacifiCorp has been very constructive in working with us. They're concerned about the bill, but they have not opposed the bill. We had brought forward new amendments to try to work with them on a format that was more workable from the standpoint of the utility. They told us today, and this was all fairly last minute, and your committee consultant was outstanding in working with us on this in the analysis, but they've told us that the new amendments would put them in opposition to the bill. And I think the Pro Tem prefers not to have that happen, keep the bill in its current form for now so that we can continue the conversations. If there are amendments to the bill that are taken after this committee, we would bring it back to the committee for further review and for another vote on the content of the bill. But given the choice between having opposition today and continuing a constructive dialogue, I think that the Pro Tem's preference would be to keep the bill in the print form and keep working with the PacifiCorp.
And this committee is happy to indulge him. We just had a motion by Mr. Santiago to move the February version of the bill, February 19 version of the bill, seconded by Ms. Burke. And let's go to witnesses in support. Please be brief.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Matt Friedman on behalf of TURN. I want to thank the Senate Pro Tem and Assemblymember Williams for their leadership on climate and energy issues. We support the bill as drafted in print, and we also support the substitute amendments that were proposed in the committee analysis, which are not being taken. I think the important thing for the committee to understand is PacifiCorp is really the only major California utility at this point that expects to remain heavily dependent on coal-fired electric generation to serve its California customers for the foreseeable future. The three major investor-owned utilities have already phased out their coal commitments. The Los Angeles Department of Water and Power has already declared its intention to become coal-free within a decade. But PacifiCorp stands alone. 60% of its power currently comes from coal-fired plants. And what we're trying to do is come up with a rational framework for PacifiCorp to wean itself off of that coal for California customers and to find substitute resources, a balanced environmental portfolio of cost-effective resources. And so that's what this bill goes to in its current form, and that's what we've been working with PacifiCorp on as a replacement. Oregon, the state of Oregon, has adopted a phase-out by 2030 of all coal-fired power serving its customers. We think California can probably do better than 2030, and that's what we're working on with PacifiCorp. So we ask for your support today to continue this process to try to come up with an approach that makes sense for the environment and for California ratepayers. Thank you.
Yes, good evening, chair members. I had nearly the same testimony prepared, so I'll just say Eddie Moreno on behalf of Sierra Club California in support.
Any others in support? Any in opposition, please? Come forward.
Thank you, Chair, committee members. For the record, Scott Bolton on behalf of Pacific Power. We are the retail arm of PacifiCorp, serving approximately 47,000 customers in Northern California in Siskiyou, Del Norte, Modoc, and Shasta counties. Nobody wants to be the last person to testify before the end of an arduous hearing. So I do want to thank the chair. I do want to thank Senator De Leon and Mr. Lipper for moving this conversation forward. I do think on behalf of my company, we do want to find a balanced outcome here where we are able to balance the interests of our customers, of our company, and align our business with California's environmental and energy goals. The amendments don't quite get there. I think moving forward, the bill as printed allows us that space and time to continue the conversation to try to get to yes. So appreciate the consideration.
Any other in opposition? All right, we'll take it back here to members. Mr. Dolly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill only affects my district, and as you are aware, there's 3 dams on the Klamath River that supply the power in California. Now, PacifiCorp has a lot of other generation outside, which is coal. But the constituents in California are faced with rate increases to tear down those dams eventually. So there's hundreds of millions of dollars that the ratepayers in California are already picking up the charge for on the relicensing of those dams that didn't happen. So I just want for the record, I know you're trying to work through this, and I understand that California has an aggressive goal of getting out of coal. These companies are trying to get out of coal, but it's a small amount that the percentage-wise that's going to affect California, but it's about 47,000 people whose rates are going through the roof, not only due to the environmental issues with the dam being removed, but this is going to amplify that even more on top of it. So we need to really, the Office of Ratepayers, I don't understand what their job is. They should be looking out for the ratepayers. In this case, they are not looking out. They're supporting this bill, and the rates are going to go through the roof. And these are low-income people who live in an area that's been devastated by the lack of natural resources utilization through timber jobs and farming and agriculture that are, I'm telling you, their rates are 1,000% in some cases. So I applaud that this bill's not moving forward in a fashion that is going to hopefully not impact them much. This is critical for my district and for those ratepayers out there.
Mr. Chairman, just a brief. I know the committee wants to wrap up. Just a brief response. Assembly member, we agree. And part of the challenge here is we would like your ratepayers not to have to pay for these assets that are no longer permitted for other utilities to get and to lower rates. Pacific Corp's concern, and it's a valid one, is when they invested in these plants 10, 15, 20 years ago, they assumed, just like you do on your home mortgage, that they would have a certain period of time to pay it off. So when you pull that out of rates, which is what the amendments that are in the committee analyses would have done, ironically, that has an effect on their ability to pay off their assets. And so we're trying to find a way to balance that. But be assured, we know that these are your constituents, and I think Mr. Woods as well, but I'm not sure if he has any up there. But all I would say is I think Senator De Leon's intent here is to protect the ratepayers and to do it in a way that's consistent with our greenhouse gas policies. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
One last comment. The stranded assets, the issue. They did contracts for 50 years on coal, and coal's now dirty, and they still have the asset that they have to pay out. So you got to phase it out over time somehow.
And I think that's the crux of the conversation that we're trying to have, and we were trying to make progress on. But I'll take your message back.
Of course.
I'd like
Mr.
to ask
Burke.
the chair, what is the procedure going to be here? Will we see the bill in committee again when it's in final form? We need a special rule for that, but I suspect we could.
So much will depend on the which final form the bill takes, how severely it is amended, and then, of course, the indulgence of the Assembly Rules Committee. Whether or not to get a rule waiver to allow us to meet after the deadline, and whether to give a rule waiver to this bill. So there's a lot of moving parts, but it will be the effort of this committee to request it back if we do believe it needs further deliberations, and we will be monitoring it at every step of the way.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd also say that the pro tem would commit voluntarily, regardless of the rules of the House, to bring the bill back to committee, provided it could proceed. If it's not amended, if it's not changed, then we probably would proceed with it. But any amendments, we will work very closely with you and the committee members and your staff.
Terrific. We appreciate that very much. Any other questions or comments? All right. Would you like to close?
Ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. All right, the bill has been moved by Mr. Santiago, seconded by Ms. Burke. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass and re-refer to the Appropriations Committee. Gatto?
Aye.
Gatto, aye. Patterson? No. Patterson, no. Burke? Burke, aye. Chavez?
No.
Chavez, no. Daly? No. Daly, no. Eggman? Eggman, aye. Christina Garcia? Aye. Christina Garcia, aye. Eduardo Garcia? Aye. Eduardo Garcia, aye. Hadley? Hernandez? Aye. Hernandez, aye. Obernolte? No. Obernolte, no. Quirk?
Aye.
Quirk, aye. Santiago?
Aye.
Santiago, aye. Ting? Aye. Ting, aye. Williams? Aye. Williams, aye.
That bill has passed. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman and committee.
Thank you. So I see all the members here. Glad that they are. I just want to note that this, of course, is the last regularly scheduled meeting or regularly scheduled hearing of this committee, although it sounds like we will be doing some hearings off the floor. And also some of you have requested that we come to your districts and hold hearings on specified subjects. But I want to just take this opportunity to thank, first of all, my fellow, Darian Johnston, who uniquely asked to work on this very involved subject matter this year. And we let her do that, and she did a lot of committee analyses, and they have been absolutely first rate. And also I want to thank all of you who have tolerated a chair who knows very little about the subject matter, and I really want to thank all of you who have educated me and participated in that. And lastly, it's been my pleasure when I've been here to work with many different committee staffs, and this building has a lot of terrific committee staffs. But I got to say, these two individuals, Sue and Edmund, are really just the best. I mean, there is nobody better. And it has been just such an absolute pleasure to work with them and all of you. So just want to say thank you very much, everybody. All right. Now we have about 27 bills on call. So let's go through all of them. All right. Thanks. Tell me. Okay, lifting. All right. We're going to lift the call on the consent calendar first. Consent calendar.
Burke? Aye. Burke, aye. Eggman? Aye. Eggman, aye. Eduardo Garcia? Aye. Eduardo Garcia, aye. Hernandez? Aye. Hernandez, aye. Santiago? Aye. Santiago, aye. Ting? Aye. Ting, aye.
The consent calendar has passed. Okay, we're lifting the call on SB 1414.
Burke.
1414.
16.
Burke, aye. Eggman? Eggman, aye. Christina Garcia? Christina Garcia, aye. Eduardo Garcia? Eduardo Garcia, aye. Hernandez? Hernandez, aye. Santiago? Santiago, aye. Ting? Ting, aye.
Okay, that bill has passed, and this committee is going to retain jurisdiction most emphatically and make sure that we work through all the issues that have been discussed. Thank you. Next is Senate Bill 215.
Burke? Aye. Burke, aye. Chavez? Chavez, aye. Eggman? Eggman, aye. Eduardo Garcia?
215.
Eduardo Garcia, aye. Hernandez? Hernandez, aye. Santiago? Santiago, aye. Ting? Ting, aye. Williams? Williams, aye.
That bill has also passed. 215 has passed. Okay, next we have 1441 by Mr. Leno.
Dally. Dally, no. Eggman? Eggman? Eggman, aye. Eduardo Garcia? Eduardo Garcia, aye. Santiago? Santiago, aye. Ting? Ting, aye. Williams? Williams, aye. Yeah, you're good.
Okay, that bill has passed. Okay, next is Senate Bill 512, file item 2. Senate Bill 512.
Burke?
512.
Burke, aye. Eggman? Eggman, aye. Christina Garcia? Christina Garcia, aye. Eduardo Garcia? Eduardo Garcia, not voting. Santiago? Santiago, aye. Ting? Ting, aye. Williams? Williams, aye. Oh, yeah, you're good. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You got 10.
Okay, 512 has passed. Next up is file item, this is SB 1017, file item 5. File item 5, 1017.
Dally? No. Dally, no. Eggman? Eggman, aye. Eduardo Garcia? Eduardo Garcia, not voting. Santiago? Santiago, aye. Ting? Ting, aye. Williams? Williams? Williams, aye.
Okay, so 1017 is passed. Next, we have file item, we have SB 745, which is file item 3. SB 745, file item 3.
Eggman? Eggman, aye. Eduardo Garcia? Eduardo Garcia, aye. Santiago? Santiago, aye. Ting? Ting, aye. Williams? Williams, aye.
Okay, that bill is passed. 745 is passed. Next, we have 1041, which is file item 6. 1041.
Eggman? Eggman, aye. Eduardo Garcia? Eduardo Garcia, aye. Santiago?
Mr. Chair, were the new proposed amendments taken?
Yes, they were.
Santiago, aye. Ting? Ting, aye. Williams? Williams, aye.
1041 is passed. Next, we have 886. This is SB 886, file item 4.
Hadley? Hernandez? Hernandez not voting. Santiago?
File item 4?
Yes, this is for 886.
Yes.
Santiago, aye. Williams? Aye. Williams, aye.
That bill has passed. 886 has passed. Next, we have 1393, which is file item 15.
Burke? Aye. Burke, aye. Eggman? Aye. Eggman, aye. Hadley? Hernandez?
Sorry, which one is this one?
1393.
Aye.
Hernandez, aye. Williams. Williams, aye.
Okay, that bill has passed. 1393 has passed. And this meeting is adjourned.
Hey, three that I haven't said.
And we'll take add-ons. We'll take add-ons.